The next figure, I want to show you how this works. As Daniel said at the beginning, I led this effort to create what we call the shakeout scenario. It became the basis of the shakeout drill that many of you probably know about, that's continued since the time we did this. But in creating the shakeout earthquake, we created a model of what an earthquake would be like. And if you look here on the left, we're showing a map of Southern California tilted on its side. Here's Los Angeles and Palos Verdes, Malibu's up here. This red line is the San Andreas Fault. And we modeled an earthquake that begins at the southern end of the San Andreas Fault. So its epicenter is the Salton Sea. But it then ruptures up this fault, and you can actually see how it's happening. The red is showing you the really strong shaking coming off. And the strongest shaking is coming off of the tip of the fault where the rupture is moving through. And you can see it's now moving up the fault, and the waves it gives off continues to travel out through the area. So the direction that it's rupturing towards, you get this shaking that came from the earlier part of the fault, plus the new shaking coming as the rupture moves up through, and you get a focusing of the energy in the direction in which it ruptures. This model, we went from south to north. We don't know what it'll be the next time. We modeled it this way because this is, in fact, worse for Los Angeles. On the right, I'm showing the city of Los Angeles. If you look here, we've got downtown and the Hollywood freeway. Pasadena would be up at the about this level. You can see Rosemead and Whittier. And we're watching the waves now come in. We had the first wave, the P wave, that's smaller. And now we're having the S wave coming in that's major from the fault. I will point out we've exaggerated the vertical deformation so you can see it. But when these big earthquakes happen, we can have very, very intense shaking. And we leave the color with the modified Mercalli intensity. You see it's getting up to 9. In the big San Andreas earthquake, we are going to be having very large parts of Southern California having the most intense shaking, this intensity 9 shaking, which is what we saw only in the western San Fernando Valley directly on top of this earthquake. So when we have the big earthquake, and the San Andreas produces earthquakes about every 100 years on average, and unfortunately it's been 170 since the last one, we will see these earthquakes that affect a much larger area. If we go back to this picture of Northridge, we remember seeing these broken buildings in that event. They were really concentrated just in this area of the red shaking. And the problem, of course, is that we are going to be having this shaking just about everywhere, or at least a large part of the region. The reason this is important, it means that there will, you're going to need more help for yourself. And of course, it will be a major disaster. We expect the federal government to be helping, but the federal government struggles to help sometimes. And the degree to which you have resources for yourself could make a really big difference of how you handle this.